Welcome to this edition of You Can Get There From Here. I'm Dr. Joe Moore, Chair of the Department of Communication and Digital Media Production at the University of Central Missouri. And every week I get to interview a couple of students who graduated from our programs, find out what they're up to today, and find out how the program helped them get there. Today we are visiting with Thomas Hardin. Thomas got his degree in communication studies with a minor in business management, and he is now the client services manager in retirement services for Ascensus Government Savings. Thomas, great to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
Hey, Joe, I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me. I'm glad
Oh,
to
we're,
be here.
we're glad you could make it. So tell us about Ascensus Government Savings. What are we talking about here? What kind of business is this?
Yeah, sure thing. So, Ascensus is the largest independent administrator record keeping service provider within the United States. We have different sectors of business that we administer. So, we go from government savings, which is fully enveloped in 529 education savings. We have our SFRP retirement services sector. We have our participant services retirement sector, which is where I currently hold a position in. And then we have taken on other lines of business from Vanguard individual contributor to health savings administration.
So is the finance, retirement, business side of that probably comes more from your business management minor, right? And then the communication and working with others from your comm studies, is that correct?
Yeah, so a lot of what I do at my company goes hand in hand with the types of degrees that I received from UCM. So the communication studies greatly helps with how I communicate with people day to day. And there's so many factors that I'm sure we're going to get into about that piece of things. But the second part, the business minor that I have, business management minor, helps me understand, the business model itself and get to really understand this whole finance investment world that I, work in. So both of those together, it's like the perfect storm. So
Okay. All right. Well, let's dig a little bit more into your role. What exactly is a client services manager? What does a typical day look like? I guess I should say.
typical day. Well, so what I really enjoy about this position and this company that I'm in is not every day is going to be the same thing. There's going to be a different challenge, a different situation every day whenever I hop on my computer and I'll see, what kind of emails I have waiting for me, or even what type of meetings I have for that day. So I manage a team of 15 associates that directly report to me. I also have one lead associate who essentially is the supervisor for those associates, but they are also responsible for reporting things up to me as the manager. So day to day, I'm working with all 15 of them, including my lead associate. I have biweekly meetings with all of them, one-on-one check-ins, ad hoc meetings, just anything on the fly that we need to talk about. Aside from working with my direct reports, I'm also involved in being the facilitator of relational management with our stakeholders and state partners that we work with at Ascensus. So you're looking at meetings with CRMs, you're looking at meetings with potential prospects, clients, new clients that are being onboarded. And then you're also working with existing partners and clients within the company as well. So there's a lot of meetings every day with some of the same people and new people, and you have a lot of reporting, of course, that goes along with this job as well. From checking my associates' metrics for each month, making sure that they're making their metrics, and making sure you're just staying on top of the usual duties as a manager, making sure that your associates are showing up to work, making sure that they're taken care of, and you're meeting any needs that they may have.
And you've been in this role since you graduated in 2019, correct?
So, as a client services manager, I started in this role in particular, I believe, February of this year, 2024.
Okay.
Whenever I came to Ascensus as a full time associate upon graduating in 2019, I started as just an entry level client service associate. And then I just managed to work my way up the ladder.
So you talked about, and I love asking that question, give us a typical day, because the general answer I get is there isn't one. And that sounded about like what you had to say. You talked about a lot of meetings. To some people, that would seem rather mundane. Many people don't like to sit through meetings. You seem to enjoy it. What do you like best about your job?
It's the people, it's the people I work with. And I really can't stress that enough, how much, I built great rapport and a great relationship with my co-managers that I work with, all the way to the upper level executives, like your VPs of the company, your senior VPs, and even the directors of the company. So getting to talk and work with these people every day and just having a nice relationship with them, it just makes the job that much more fulfilling and that much more enjoyable. And I'm one of the people who, will die on the hill saying, if you're not in love for with what you do in your career, it's going to be harder to wake up each morning, sit here at your desk and get your work done. So, getting in the mindset of I'm enjoying this and I genuinely do, and finding what it is that makes it enjoyable, it just makes the day that much better at work.
Well, and you're working in retirement services. It sounds like you're doing something very fulfilling and helping people prepare for life after work and helping them make sure that they have the finances to be able to do the things that they want to do after they complete their working career.
Absolutely. And working in an investment services financial type environment, it does become easy to miss that part of the reward of what we do here at this company. Whenever you're working with a client directly or a participant directly, and they get to, give some gratitude towards you and your associates for the work that you're doing on your end for their future, to hear that verbally, and we do get to hear that verbally. We hear that feedback from our clients and our participants every day. They send in these surveys. They want to speak to the managers and just praise the associate that helped them. That is just another pat on the back, to hear that things are going well for them and what the service we're providing is beneficial to them
Yeah.
in their future.
Oh, that's nice. That's great to hear that they're being taken care of, but then they're also reciprocating and letting you all know what it's meant to them. So you said that we would probably touch on this a little bit later. It's later. So how did your degree in communication studies help prepare you for this role?
you know, there's it's so extensive, and whenever you first reached out to me to do this, my brain started going everywhere, and I started trying to think which class was the best class that I took the most out of and have applied into my professional career. And what made it hard was there isn't one class from comm studies. I see a mix of it from every class that I took and every course, every lecture that I took at UCM, that is in this big pot, and I get to pull out whenever I have a certain situation at work or just in life in general. But the one that I think I've seen the most in how I interact with people day to day at work, it's got to be the Dale Carnegie course for sure. I still have not just the How to Win Friends and Influence People, but I have several of his books that Terry Conconnon recommended while I was in that course. He just said, Thomas, go get these books and read them. There's more insight on human relations from Dale Carnegie that I think will be beneficial. And I keep them here in my office, and I'll just pull a book off the shelf and just go back and retain some more knowledge from it. But I believe that the Dale Carnegie course is what prepared me the most for, just dealing with people in a people, career, in a people job.
Well, that's awesome to hear that about the Dale Carnegie. I've interviewed several students that have gone through this doing the podcast with me, and that Dale Carnegie course keeps coming up. So I'm going to have to check that out a little bit more closely with Terry. The nice thing too about the Comm Studies program is there's appropriate number of hours for the skills you need to develop, but it also leaves you some freedom to be able to go out and get a minor. So if you want to communicate in the health sector, or if you want to work in athletics, or if you want to get into the business realm, there's room in there to get a minor Did you know coming into the program that you wanted to do something that might have to do with finance or something that had to do with business, and that led you to your business management minor?
I wouldn't say particularly that I was coming into the finance, that I would be going finance route. I knew, before I started, before I even came to UCM and I graduated high school, I knew that I wanted to do something in the business world. And when I was going through community college, talking with my mentor there and some of the professors, they said, you're very articulate in how you speak and you seem to get along well with people.
That's a nice compliment.
Communication studies is a degree, right? Whenever you go get your bachelor's. And I was like, I've never really, I mean, I've heard of all these degrees that you can choose from in college, but I didn't know I could get one for something that I was apparently already good at, which is just speaking to people. So knowing that I wanted to be in business and then getting to UCM and registering for my classes in the comm studies program, my mentor that was there helping me get registered, she mentioned, if you want to go business route and you're doing this communication studies, you can get a minor in business management, business administration, something along the lines of that. And those degrees go hand in hand and it'll just benefit you tenfold. So that's kind of how it played out.
Well, it sure seems like it's benefited you well, and that's great. Glad to hear that. We also talk a lot about, we've got the book learning, we're doing the classes, we're doing, you're in your Dale Carnegie and things, but then we encourage you to go out and get involved, practice what you're learning in the classroom. I'm guessing you had a few things that you got involved in that helped prepare you for the professional world.
Absolutely. So there was one course with Pam Glassnap.
Yep.
Was that her name? Yeah.
Yep. Pam Glassnap.
Where we had to, yeah. So we had to go out and do a community-oriented event for one of our courses in comm studies. And my group, we did a fundraiser 5K. We did a fundraiser for the 5K that was happening in Warrensburg. And we did a 50-50 raffle. And then me being me, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take it a step up in this raffle that we're doing for the 5K. I'm gonna run the 5K myself as a student. I'm just gonna participate.
Had you been running to that point?
No, I never ran.
So you took on a challenge.
Yeah, it was a challenge. I never ran a 5K or a marathon or anything, but we set up a little stand during the 5K where we had people coming up and doing the 50-50 raffle. And then when it came time for the 5K, I said to my team, I said, hey guys, stay here, hold it down. I'm going to go jump in line for the 5K and get ready. And while I'm doing the race, if I'm passing somebody or someone's passing me, which is probably more what happened, I'll mention to them about the 50-50 raffle. Hey, when you guys are done running this race, there's a 50-50 raffle we're doing. Feel free to stop by our stand. And so that was one community thing that we did. And then outside the classroom, going into your senior capstone, your senior year for the comm studies degree, depending on which emphasis you're in, you have to do an internship for, at least from what I emphasized in, which was corporate consultancy in the comm studies degree. So I actually did an internship over the summer, my senior year, with the company that I work with now, Ascensus. And Terry Kincana was my professor for the senior capstone for that internship. And I remember whenever I got that internship locked down and I aced the interview with the company, and I went and told Terry, I said, hey, I got this internship with this company out in Kansas City and downtown. I'll be there over the summer. He gives me all the curriculum and paperwork that I need to do, like homework assignments and stuff like that. But he pulled me aside and goes, you've been here at UCM this will be your third year now. You've taken all these courses. You've retained all this knowledge. He goes, now you have an internship. Now you get to go out into the actual business world while you're still a student and apply this in a real world setting. Everything that we've taught you in the comm studies department. So when I went into the first day of my internship, I did exactly that. I went in headstrong and full steam ahead, and I was pulling out things from my brain, from the Dale Carnegie, from interpersonal comm, from conflict resolution, to even the listening capabilities from Dr. Carol Benton. So I was out there just showing off all this knowledge, and I was waiting for someone in that office to say, where did you come from? Like, how do you know all this stuff? Where are you in? So, but those are two perfect examples of, being outside the classroom and applying these things, during my time in the comp studies department.
Well, that's good that you were able to get involved and use that. We preach about that internship and getting that practical experience and networking and things like that. And I have to ask, do you still run?
So I have done only one other 5K since I did that 5K whenever I was at UCM.
So it
And
didn't stick.
it didn't stick. I slowed down a little bit. Running's
Fair,
just not my thing.
fair enough. Fair enough. Happens to the best of us. So, well, I have two last questions for you, Thomas. We talk about we want to get you guys involved and bring our alumni back to be a part of this because you're our best advertising. You're the ones that have gone through the program and you're out there doing it. You're out there achieving your goals and making it happen. And so we want to pick your brains a little bit. What is one piece of advice you would give to a current UCM Com Studies student? And what would you say to a prospective student who's thinking about coming to UCM to study communication studies?
For current com study students, biggest piece of advice that I can give, and this is something that actually I think came from the Dale Carnegie course in one of his books. Ralph Waldo Emerson said a quote about basically there's always going to be somebody that you meet that is an expert in something. And what you take out of that is that, I'm a client services manager at my job, right? I still learn new things from entry level associates. And even last summer, we still do our internship program. I learned something new from an intern. And it's that golden rule, just, treat others the way that you would want to be treated. And one of the people I look up to the most and I read a lot about is Coach John Wooden.
Oh, yeah.
What was John Wooden doing outside of practicing games? He was mopping the floors, sweeping the floors in the gymnasium. If you want to lead and be successful, you got to lead by example. You got to demonstrate what leadership looks like, and you got to treat everybody the same and equal. So nobody, even coming from someone who works in the business corporate world, nobody's ever above you, but nobody's also never below you. So we're all here in the same thing. So, just make sure you're treating everybody the way you want to be treated, and, just always be open to learning new things from whoever it is.
Good advice. Good advice.
And then the second piece, advice to potential students who were thinking about comm studies. I would say, just be open. Be open to yourself and be open to comm studies because it opens more doors for you than you would actually think. We have so many jobs out there. We have so many careers that you can go into. You can go into the business world. You can go into, a trade. You can go into, there's just so many things you can do. What's the one thing that you're going to do in any job you go into? You're going to be communicating. You're going to be a communicator. And the great thing about the comm studies department is that there's different emphasis areas that you can go into that are more centered around what you're interested in. So you can go into corporate consultancy, you can go into media relations, and you can go into, what's the third one? Corporate consultancy, media.
Relationship studies.
Yeah, relationship studies. So just find which one is most outstanding to you and just go for it. Because whenever I interviewed for the client services manager position back in February of this year, and the director I was interviewing looked at my degree and said, "Oh, you got a communication studies degree, huh?" He goes, "Well, tell me what that, what do you do with that? How does that set you above the others?" Well, I tell you what, I can talk to anybody. I can build rapport with anyone. You put me in a room full of strangers, I'll make friends with 99.9% of them any day. So, and I've proven that. So that's just my advice is just, go into it, be open, and realize that it's going to open more doors in any career that you decide to go into than you think it will.
Thomas, that's excellent. Thomas Hardin right there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here with us today. You're doing some great stuff. I appreciate all the work that you do, and we're proud of you.
I'd love to hear that. Thank you.
And thanks all of you for tuning in today. Remember, you can catch every episode on our YouTube channel through the UCM Media Network. That's youtube.com/UCMMN. You can also listen on Spotify. Special thanks to Jake Mager for creating our theme music. Again, this is Dr. Joe Moore reminding you, you can get there from here. Have a great day.